Manchester United won, Wolves 0 at Old Trafford. Unfortunately, Wolves fall into a very, very late Marcus Rashford goal. It's one of those games where, you know what? It's so difficult to take as a football fan. I don't think you really know the pain of a last minute goal until you really feel it, especially after today with all the rotation and with the fairly decent performance from the majority of the players today. It was a difficult one to take, but I think Manchester United fans, I'm sure, they'll probably not even watch this part of the video yet, and they'll probably put something about serving us right for time wasting or whatever. But I felt with the team that we'd put out there today, we put in a pretty decent performance. It's just a shame the result didn't reflect that, really. Of course, guys, as always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below as well. Wolves starting a rotated team, like I say, with Patricio starting in goal. We saw Ryan Aït-Nouri come in for Marcel at left wing back, who I believe has got a little knock at the moment. Keanu Hoover coming in for his first Wolves start in the league at right wing back ahead of Nelson Semedo. We saw a back three of Kilman, Cody and Saiss. Saiss actually sitting in the middle today with Neves and Moutinho in the central and midfield. Vitinha just ahead of them with Adama and Neto up front. And you know what? The first half, I think it was pretty obvious how Wolves were going to play. We were going to try and soak up that pressure and counter. But there were periods in the first half where we held a good amount of possession. I thought we recycled the ball quite well. We got ourselves into good positions. We were very disciplined and we didn't panic too much on the ball. We were making sure everything that we did on the ball was the right decision. It was very rare that we were getting the ball and sort of lumping it up. That was helped by Manchester United being fairly non-urgent, really. They didn't show much urgency going in front of our defence. They didn't put major pressure on, and they allowed us to play a little bit. They were a little bit slow in there as well. The thing is here, and this is probably going to be a discussion every week now, or every game, or every match review until we get a forward. If we had an out-and-out striker in today's game, we could have scored in that first half. And I felt even in the second half, we should have gone for it a little bit more. There were opportunities there. First one being, well, I'm saying first one, the ones that come to mind. Pedro Neto had the ball at a slight angle. I think he waited a little bit too long. Just fire it at goal. Test De Gea. I think Jimenez would have. Jimenez would have pulled off a save to win a corner, or, you know what, get a goal. And the other opportunity where I think it was a 2-on-2 situation, Neto running at goal. He got Adama in a bit of space to the left, and the pass just wasn't quite good enough. But there were just certain opportunities in that game. We were getting in good positions wide and sort of centrally, and we just needed that big focal point in the middle. And maybe if Fabio had started, we may have seen one or two more better chances. But yeah, that was it today. Manchester United did very rarely threaten in that first half. Wolves had more shots, albeit probably not clear-cut. I think in general, as a neutral, if you watch that, you would have been disappointed with the lack of clear-cut chances in the game. But yeah, going into half-time, I was fairly positive. You look at some of the performances in there, like I said earlier, we were making sure things were good and correct. I thought many players, especially the guys that had come in that haven't played much football for the first team, had good cameos out there. But second half, we just didn't put our foot on the accelerator enough, I don't think. At half-time, I said to a couple of people, you know what, we're in here. The further and the longer the game goes on, Tellez, who was on at the time for United, and Wan-Bissaka pushing forward, you get one ball through to Adama and co, you got a great opportunity. And we did that a little bit in the first half, and it just wasn't to be. We just, like I said, it just took our foot off the gas very slightly in the second half. Manchester United, obviously, had a good hiding by Solskjaer at half-time as well, and, it was obvious he wanted them to be quicker and more urgent. And that's what happened. They were putting a lot more pressure on our back line and Neves and Moutinho. We saw a lot more stray passes, a lot more longer balls over the top, which sort of killed any sort of rhythm that we had. Vitinha got taken off as well. I was pretty disappointed with that because I felt he was almost that sort of middle man in there to create something. I think he was a positive sub, to be fair. We brought Daniel Podence on, who I felt had a fairly quiet cameo in there. But Vitinha did quite well at sort of unlocking half spaces and creating the link to the next move. And yeah, the subs today, although positive for me, just didn't quite, the performances weren't quite what we wanted to see. I was surprised as a whole with the lineup in general, but you know what, they did okay. And in the end, our defence had been so resolute and organised and so solid. All it took was that long ball over the top by Fernandes, I think it was, and just our defence just switching off. That one mistake, switching off for 2 seconds, ball comes over the top. and Rashford with quite a big deflection sends it into the back of the net. That's something, I don't know what happened outside the room there, but it sends it into the back of the net. But yeah, it's so annoying, that is, when you're held and, although, again, I think Manchester United fans would have been disappointed with that they didn't get something, and how almost, I thought it, for Wolves fans, it's fairly standard. I didn't think it was part of the bus system. I thought it was a deep play with counter-attack, and it's how we've played against Manchester United, I'd say 3 or 4 of the times that we've played them since meeting up, at least. So, with the team that we put out, I was very satisfied with that performance. Obviously, that goal now gives United all 3 points, and that's what the big teams do. They don't have to play well at all for the game. Like I say, I think Solskjaer will be disappointed with that performance, but they don't have to play well. But when they get that one half chance, they're going to get that bit of luck or a little bit of quality and capitalise on a mistake. And that's what we aren't doing enough of this season. And that's what the likes of Manchester United, Man City and Liverpool will do to teams. Little other moments in the game. Obviously, Cavani did have the ball in the back of the net earlier on. There was a big shout for handball. I think it would have been very, very harsh on Cody. You know what? We can't even talk about the rule of handball because I don't understand it. It changes every game I watch. But his hand's down by his side, and it sort of touches his hand as he's on his side. And Cavani does put it away, but like I say, he is offside. In terms of individual performances, I thought Aït-Nouri was a little bit shaky today. At times he was all right, but there was just key moments in the game where I'm just thinking, you've got to be moving that ball a little bit quicker. But a lot of players ignore him when he's in good positions, which frustrates me a lot. I've seen Daniel Podence do it a lot this season, Pedro Neto as well. Just seem to ignore him when he's in a half-decent position. But yeah, at times he was a little bit shaky. But saying that, I think he dealt very well with Wan-Bissaka. Wan-Bissaka had such bad luck in attacking positions, and I think Aït-Nouri did really, really well there. Keanu Hoover, I got to say, was very decent as well. For him coming in, it's probably a little bit too early to say, but genuinely gives Nelson Semedo now, for me, direct competition. I think defensively he's a lot better than Semedo at the moment based on that performance. But at the same time, the way he gets the ball and drives with it, you know what? There was a moment in that game in the second half where the United defence was stood still. I think everyone was expecting him to pass to Adama, and he just bombs it through. So I was happy with that performance. These two aren't going to get enough praise, but Martinho and Neves as well. Their work rate today was phenomenal. There was a couple second half, especially again. Neves had a few misplaced passes where we were trying to go a little bit more direct. But I've got to say, the way they helped those young wing backs today was phenomenal. Really, and that's the part of the game, Neves and Martinho, that people don't notice, the work rate off the ball. And that was very, very good today. I felt they gave Keanu Hoover and Aït-Nouri a lot of help today and a lot of support. And Neto was great as well. I was disappointed that he got substituted quite early. I felt it could have probably been for Adama, but at the same time, I think we all know with Adama, just that little bit of space and brilliance, and he could provide it. And he had a few moments in that game, really. But in the end, it's one direct ball over the top that costs Wolves. And Manchester United get all 3 points. A little bit disappointed out of the last 3 games. You know, we knew Spurs and United was going to be tough. If you said to me you get a point out of one of those games, I would have been satisfied. But it's the fact that we've also lost to likes of Burnley and Villa. But saying that, if you put all our fixtures now, if you show me those fixtures and said we'd get 7 points out of Arsenal, Chelsea, Spurs, United, and include Burnley and Villa in there, I think you'd be like, all right, yeah, that would be we take that. So, you know, you've got to take this very small positives out of it. But with a striker or with a certain style of play, we need to start grinding out results against the likes of Chelsea and Arsenal and still beating Burnley and Villa. And this season would be completely different. Game against Brighton now, this is a game we've got to win. But we'll talk a little bit more about that ahead of this weekend's game. A match preview for the Brighton game will be coming up. The fans react for this game will be coming up as well. I'll be very intrigued as a Wolves fan to see what certain people have got to say based on this performance. But yeah, a 1-0 defeat to Manchester United this evening. A bit of a kick in the teeth, but you know what? I think there's a couple of performances there that some fans can be proud of. Be sure to hit the like button down below, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. If you are a United fan as well, let me know your thoughts, what you thought about the game as well. And until next time, we'll see you all very, very soon.